Blooper, go. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today here at TechRepublic. I am Mackenzie Fay, and here joining me is the rest of the TR crew. Today we're going to be watching and reacting to the WWDC Apple event for 2023. So just to kick things off and get comfortable with everything, we're going to go around and introduce everybody. So Justin, I'll start with you.
Justin Fraction.
Emmanuel Jordan.
And Kyle Heildebrand.
Welcome to the channel, by the way, Kyle. I know that your face is probably the newest, so.
Yes. Happy to be here.
How many of us have watched WWDC, and how many of us actually use Apple products in our day-to-day? I mean, I can start things off that I have a phone. I'm clearly right now I'm using a MacBook Pro, and and I have an iPad. I think the only thing that I don't own that is Apple is my home-built PC, but that's just because of I need it for editing reasons. But yeah, I'm probably 100% an Apple person.
You know, when I was younger, Apple used to be the thing for video editing. Now, PCs have caught up. Primarily, I've used laptops. I have a phone, and I've always had an iPhone. I haven't had a different phone since it came out. And I have 2 iPads, actually. So I'm split.
Oh, 2 iPads. Okay, fancy. We get it.
Okay. Well. Yeah, for me, I definitely am an Android user at heart, but I do have a MacBook. I've had one since 2017. And yeah, but I am slowly on the fence to transitioning over to Apple. So we'll see. But yeah, the WWDC, I've always just checked on it on Twitter just for live reactions and stuff.
I'm in the opposite direction, actually. I grew up as a Mac user, and I am no longer a Mac user. So like what Justin was kind of mentioning before, as far as the creative field, that used to be the standard was Mac, right? And my father was a graphic designer, is now a UX designer. And so we always grew up with Macs in the house. But as I moved off into college, I stopped using them because I started gaming. And, at that point, that was just the common, there was more possibilities, for PC. I currently own no Apple products, so I haven't tuned into one of these before, but I do generally like to keep updated with the summaries of what happens. But this will be my first one I'm watching live, so.
You never know. You might see something that you want, Kyle.
That's true. I may be converted. Who knows, right? So,
it can even just be the tiny things too. I know you're big into art, and I'm big into art as well. And I always love their iPad demos. Whenever it comes to the artistic side of things, when they're their Apple Pens or anything like that, those just seem so. The ease of use on those sides, and especially the mobility of it, of taking it anywhere on the go. And I don't know, I feel like that's always leagues above any of the other tablets, and especially when it comes to pricing.
Speaking of art, we have to talk about this logo of the Apple. What's happening here? What do you think?
When you see oil spilled on the ground or something, and you get the rainbowy, I know that's such a sad thing to think of, but that's what it makes me think of.
You're at a gas station and you look up around during a bright sunny day.
Perfect. Speculation has been kind of linked to the idea that this might be related to the rumored VR headset that Apple is possibly going to mention today. It's been about almost 10 years since we've had a new product category for Apple.
I have a lot of thoughts on as far as VR and AR stuff go, just because again, I just keep talking about being a huge gaming nerd, but VR has been definitely a thing that's been popping off in the last couple of years in the gaming world, but it seems like it's kind of started to wane a little bit, as there's been kind of a lack of people gripping onto it and sticking with it.
I mean, for me, I think I've mentioned this before, I think when that first Oculus came out, I got that immediately, but I don't know. I used it for a while and then I just kind of got bored of it. So, and then I know since then, obviously, Facebook has come out with their own thing, and there's definitely a market, but it's still very new. And I feel like with VR and AR headsets, prices, kind of fluctuate. There's definitely some lower price ones, some higher ones. Rumored Apple's going to hit the 3,000 mark, which is, that's definitely up there. So I'm interested to see what all, for $3,000, I'm interested to see what they're going to be able to pack into this headset and what's going to make it different from what's already in the market.
It's like circling back to like Kyle's comment about the gaming industry. Usually they're the ones that are really progressive in towards of like really fine tuning that type of technology. Just look at like Valve, for example, with Half-Life Alyx, literally but the price of entry was a lot for those who just wanted to play the game. So for someone who hears $3,000 for just the headset experience that we are not too sure is going to look like, I'm interested but hesitant very much.
Does anyone here currently use any headsets or own any?
Actually, I'm another Oculus user. I didn't get the very first one. I got the second one.
Okay.
And honestly, I used it for maybe 4 months, if even that. And then I put it away. It's just that maybe if Apple does release a headset, they can find a way to better integrate it into our everyday lives that will make it more useful than just, a random gaming experience that, well, you finish the game, that's over. I know that Oculus also has Meta. They have their own store, and that's one of the rumored things that is allegedly coming for Apple, their own little VR store.
As far as like integrating it into daily life or whatnot, I mean, we already have. I mean, there's some stuff like as far as like trying to keep people being, more active. I've seen a lot of things about like boxing and like things like that, which is like, I mean, cool, right? There's a lot of fitness things that already happen with. I mean, there's the Apple Watch. There's the fitness app that was pushed over last year at WWDC23. But the thing that I'm interested in, because I mean, like people use, like chat apps are obviously something that's popular. Everyone uses, some form or something or other, Discord, Messenger, whatever, Snapchat. VR chat has been around for a bit, but like part of that is that there's a huge disconnect, right? As far as like the reality of like what you're talking to, because like it's a character, it doesn't read faces, like things like that. But with the addition of augmented reality and like the hints that like there may be some way to kind of like read like the eye expressions at least, and display that whenever you're using this new headset, if they could integrate that with a VR chat kind of thing, it could breathe, kind of like new life into those kind of VR chat scenarios. And it might be something that would be, I mean, there's so much of work right now that is done virtually.
The Oculus Quest, actually, the portable Oculus, which is gray, it already does do eyeball reading. So you can control things just by looking in certain areas, which is rumored for this headset. Also, the Oculus headsets are able to read hand movements. So you don't actually need a controller. They're not that great at it from my experience, but who knows? Maybe Apple has it better. Also, we're expecting some updates to the Mac line, watchOS, the iPhone OS, iPadOS, and we will see how much. Oh, Mac Studio. That may or may not be coming. We'll see how much of that happens.
Yeah, I heard the MacBook Air is supposed to come in a 15-inch variant now. So that'll be interesting. Give you another option outside of just having to go to the MacBook Pro if you like your Airs.
I think we're about to get started. I see the Apple logo, so.
Compared to a lot of the other things that we've heard, this stuff is
Also add effects to live stickers. When you tilt your phone in message,
I guess I'm just a lot more underwhelmed by a lot of what's being discussed right now, as opposed. We started off pretty strong, with what was being discussed, but a lot of this is, I don't know, like emojis and stickers and stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, a lot of speculation before this was that these OS updates weren't going to be major. We're not going to get that many new features. Like even this one is something that you can sort of already do, and I do it all the time. I like take a sticker and just stick it on somebody's conversations. but now you can colorize them different.
Yeah, I mean, with last year's announcement with their lock screen editing and adjustments there, I really like that because I love customization.
Yeah, I was surprised by the catch up and like sprite to response feature. I would have assumed that already would have been on my iPhone. But the check-in feature, I thought that was a nice touch, but I know there's definitely,
and you need to step away.
It could go either way, depending on if it's just your parents or your friends or other stuff. So
I think maybe there will always be a feature where you can turn that off and make sure it doesn't go to the right person or the wrong person. Like my mom, that's fine. My friend that I live with, that's fine. Some stranger who I just met, you don't need to know anything about.
It's always like tricky though, because it's always the and I know they've addressed this in the past before too, but like it's the toxic relationship aspect too that always worries me, because you can have those trusted relationships that later turn sour, and having that feature available at first and you maybe not being too aware of it yourself and what your toxic partner does, it's a little scary for sure. Oh, I don't need it to predict what I'm going to say. That sounds like a disaster for my own typing problems. How many of you actually watch those photo slideshows that they curate on your phone?
I do not, because it's never quite something I wanted them to do. Like once it took like a bunch of clips from a TV show and put them all together and said, "Man, look at this." I'm like, well, thanks. Those are reaction images.
yeah, even though I don't have an iPhone, like that feature on Android, I don't really care for it because it always reminds you of something that you want to forget. So, like a failed friendship, relationship, it always reminds you of something I don't.
Yeah, I feel like those who really enjoy those probably are those who have that have reached a point in life where they want to look back on successes and such, like the grandparents, for example. They just want to look at their grandkids, and a nice slideshow every now and then will do that because that they have 1,000 photos.
This journaling app could be pretty cool. I'm glad they built that app.
I do like journaling just in general, so this is cool. This is a neat idea.
Yeah, it's way better than me trying to cram everything into the Notes app, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, journaling is just good for your brain in general, so it's cool that they're having something to facilitate that. So.
Just careful with encryption. Everybody who doesn't encrypt and you do not remember your password, you're in trouble because there is no backup whatsoever. I can have a realistic alarm clock again. Wow.
Looks like they have a stand to go with it. I wonder if that's going to be sold.
It's absolutely going to be sold.
Money.
In photos.
I wonder how much that drains your battery.
Automatically shuffles through your best shots,
That's a good
taking
question.
full advantage of the screen.
Oh, I don't like that public interface.
So Justin, Mackenzie, would you guys use the standby feature at all? Buy a stand with it too?
I think I'm curious what it's going to look like when it's actually available for the public use, because I can see a lot of uses, but also it would have to be for certain circumstances too for me. Like I don't think I would be so like with the widgets and stuff. I probably wouldn't use too much of those.
I think it would be great to use on the road, but like at home I have like a Google screen that's giant and it's right there. That's my alarm clock.
So wait, this came out for the phones previously, but only iPad now?
Did he just make that thing fly at his hand?
He sure did.
Yeah.
No, he just Mjolnired that thing over.
Great.
I like that we all just glanced over that. Like, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
So back to your question though about usually that does happen just because it's you're gonna get the updates first for the phone because they're more universal in terms of user use. And then the iPad is just a different interface altogether, so they have to adjust it later on. I mean, this was all announced last year with iOS on the phone, and I mean, I was excited about the customization because I do like having a nice, clean lock screen. They always forget to say, though, that if you have any,
more
lots of like
live
not like complicated art or anything that's like not easily predictable by the AI, you're not gonna get these easy edits. So you have to have like the right photo every time. Okay, so where's the running strap for the iPad? Does that go on the abdomen or the back?
Everyone's a turtle, and you put it on your back. Is how.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm naive. Yes, absolutely.
How could you?
One place. It's easy to see.
But I think widgets are really great, especially like with iPhone experience and iPad experience for sure. Whenever I have them, like seeing it on the Mac though, makes me feel overwhelmed with information. Am I the only one who's thinking that?
Can select photos on their desktop.
Yeah, I don't ever.
The shortcuts
I
widget,
mean,
they can
I like that it
Pro
when you have something else open, so
signature
you
look,
can fade
get
into
them
the
ready to
back.
submit for
But
a
I would
campaign.
never have.
All
I would never
single
want
click.
multiple. You know, all
And
of
that's
the screen
widgets on
apps. It's
Mac.
a little bit too
An
much.
entirely new way to personalize
I've
your desktop.
played around with
Get
Windows,
things done
which
throughout
has
your day.
widgets, of course,
Next,
quite a lot. But I've never left anything on my
Space where
desktop
so much
because
action is
I'm
happening.
always
To tell
focused
you
on one
more,
program or maybe
here's
two programs.
Jeremy.
I'm not looking at the desktop, and when it's there, and I also have my other icons, it's too cluttered. I can't deal with all that.
I forget what my desktop is so often because I don't look at it. You know, so I mean, like I don't know, like I can't speak on it from like a Mac point of view, but I for sure very rarely look at my desktop.
It's going to take quite a lot to make me think of any Mac as a gaming machine.
Yeah.
Doubling the Bluetooth sampling rate, providing in-game
So
responsiveness.
I agree. There's a reason why like I'm like my main desktop is just a home built PC because like as great as they're trying to get innovative with the gaming side of things, I can't look at my MacBook Pro and think it's capable of gaming 1 second.
Even easier.
That's cool. That's neat. Just because one of the big things is that like there's a lot of games that just aren't available on there. Like obviously that's changing, but the fact that they're trying to make it easier to do now is pretty cool.
That's actually super
amazing
cool.
quality.
I would love that. It's like an upgrade to a normal just
When you want to let others know how
Microsoft
you're
Teams
feeling,
meeting,
you can
but
add a
instead
reaction
you can do all
seamlessly
kinds of
blends your
stuff with
video
just yourself with
balloons,
depth sensing.
confetti, hearts, and more.
See, that's great. And I love that too. I'm curious how good the AI is at cutting you out and putting you in front of that. Unless you like need a green screen, because I know that video quality is not, you know, it's very different, you know, across the board for every user with MacBook, Mac Air, and etc.
Next, let's talk
I'm
about
curious to see if any
We're taking it to the next
like
level.
live streamers will try and utilize, you know, like this kind of technology for that because it like goes right into it, right? So
Safari is the help you stay
there are whole software systems that are based around that. So I'm curious as to how they feel about
mix of work and personal
stuff like that.
browsing, and would love a way to separate
You
browsing
know,
between topics.
The
Profile
Apple
lets you
password
separate your
feature
cookies,
as it is
history,
now,
connections,
I
add groups, and
generally
favorites.
don't
So you can sign into the same
use
site
it.
with your work
Like
account
it's
and personal
there,
account,
I might
just
select
switch
it,
between
but I
them.
still use one password for
And if
everything.
you're a student,
And this is so
set up a
similar. I'm
unique
not quite sure they
collection
could
of extensions and favorites
pull away
just
from
for
that
yourself.
market share.
Do you guys have one of
Watch
these?
has evolved over the years. It's become even more intuitive and more powerful.
This is the thing I never got
Easier
too
access
invested
to
in.
vital
Not just not because like I don't think it would be incredibly useful, but I just don't like having things on my wrist.
Me neither.
We're celebrating this
Actually, I stopped in college from being a video editor and having so many deadlines. I just took my watch off one day and never put it back on. I kept looking at it. Ugh.
I used the Galaxy Watch, but I only ever have it on when I'm out. But it does get annoying.
Honestly, if it isn't like a Pip-Boy, then I don't really want it. If it isn't, like, if it doesn't look cool, I don't particularly want it. So that's and like it looks fine, I guess, you know. But I don't know. Like I like I wear jewelry, you know what I mean. So if I have anything on my wrist, you know, I just do it for aesthetics. So I don't know, man. I have my phone in my pocket. If I need anything, I'll use my phone. It's kind of my mentality.
Somebody says, "Do you know what time it is when you're out?" It's right here. That's
yeah, it's right there. I don't. Yeah. If I'm worried about like, you know, the battery dying or whatever, then I'll carry like a pocket watch on me or whatever, or, you know, something, you know. So I don't know. Like it's cool. I get it. You know, it's never really been something I've been terribly invested in. So
while still
See,
giving
the thing
you
that
access to
is always
information
interesting to
you
me
care
about this is like it's so hard to integrate with your personal apps on like your iPhone or your iPad and connecting that to your Apple Watch. That was like I think always the biggest hurdle for me to actually looking into one. And every time I see someone have it, that's their biggest hurdle in trying to learn how to get music on there, get photos on there, and stuff like that when they want them. So hopefully they're improving that even further based on what I'm seeing right now.
Redesign.
Yeah, well, some of these are minor details. I just have to applaud Apple for continually putting so much polish on everything that they do. That I appreciate it. But even if the feature's been seen somewhere else, it doesn't matter. They'll do it differently. And it looks fantastic.
Overlapping layers.
Sure. I mean, a lot of the things are more of like just, I don't know, like minor UX things, which like when put in an announcement makes me say, huh? But like when you think about it, it's kind of like, oh, okay.
I love Snoopy.
This right here, this is it. Like that just goes back to like the fine polishing that they do with like their interface, their animations, and stuff like that. This is probably primarily why we keep going back to Apple every time because I love how everything looks.
You know, I was going to say before this, what would make you buy an Apple? That would make me buy it. Snoopy and Woodstock.
Snoopy, that's all they needed. They needed to reach to your childhood, like, yes.
More features to keep you active.
What a niche thing to focus on. How interesting.
I'm curious. I like biking.
No, it's great. It's just
features already.
Wouldn't have expected an announcement like this on an event like this.
Even try out.
So is this going to make you buy an Apple Watch, Mackenzie?
That's still up to debate. They would have to really impress me with this.
Your functional threshold power, known as
because you have to think about pricing too. Like like it's not a cheap thing to get. You want to make sure you really find it useful and enjoyable if you want to pay down that loan basically.
It can provide powers now.
I do appreciate that in this one, and well, for quite a while they've been keeping track of bikers, giving them better ways to get help if something happens, which we hope it never does.
In addition to
for sure, I mean, both of my parents are like super into like camping and stuff like that now, so like stuff like this is actually, and they're big old Mac people, so I'm happy that this is a thing that exists.
They're really pushing this for athletes, people that hike, just anybody, yeah.
Join the other great experiences in watchOS 10 to keep
the real question is, can it detect ping pong?
Stay healthy. To tell you about what's coming.
I really like this because I feel like with
and have screening tools and resources to support you on your overall health journey.
It's just like, oh,
the other important area of focus for us this year is vision
health. Been bad for the past couple of days.
The reduction of myopia, which is nearsightedness that's caused by physical changes in the eye.
Yeah, I was actually a psychology student, and so like a lot of the stuff that they're talking about as far as like tracking is pretty standard practice whenever you're in like maybe like a mental health facility or anything like that, as far as like a day-to-day kind of situation. It's interesting because things like this exist in other platforms, but generally as like a third-party app. Like it's interesting that Mac is integrating this directly into their own apps.
Now Apple Watch can measure the amount of time spent in
That's what they do. They find stuff that is doing very well, and they figure out a way to integrate it into their
time
own.
in daylight can be measured from a child's Apple Watch.
But it always goes back to the question of, is it reliable? Is it actually going to get you the correct info you need? Or is it a WebMD? And it's like, oh, you're going to get the most over-the-top explanation for your symptoms currently at the moment.
Sure. I really hope. I mean, it seems like, I don't know. I'm being optimistic, but it seems like anything that's like possibly like triggering as far as like this is like you should do something about it is just immediately going to say talk to somebody else. Like consult with somebody, and it's not going to try and like do anything beyond that, because you definitely don't want to give any false positives or anything like that, but or anything else, any other kind of misinformation, So
adding support.
I think this would be good for someone who's already in therapy or getting help or something. Just take all your data and just pass it along to your therapist. I've done that before. That's really awesome.
Mental health and vision health data is encrypted on
device. No, it's like it goes along perfectly with like the journaling feature that they mentioned earlier. It's like just having that in combo it's actually super helpful health-wise.
Major milestone. give new design to quickly.
I'm really looking at that Snoopy.
Delightful new
I'm
watch
sorry.
faces.
I think you got
New
me.
features for cyclists and hikers. And
Tomorrow we will see you with an Apple Watch.
Do have one.
Here we go.
This is a day that's been years in the making, one that I've really been looking forward to. I believe that augmented reality is a profound
There it is.
technology.
I'm gonna look like a bunch of fighter pilots with this thing on.
And it has a dial. Oh. Looks like great material.
I'm getting dizzy.
I was gonna say the same thing. This is a big one.
You know how they like their 360 spins? Come on.
Introducing Apple Vision Pro.
Vision Pro.
Vision Pro is a new kind of computer.
Sounds like my insurance.
It augments reality by seamlessly blending the real world. Your surroundings become an infinite canvas.
Don't forget having 3 desktops, I guess.
Any size you want. Capture photos, watch your movies, shows,
Now there's software
and immerse
that does
yourself
this
in
already.
games on a giant screen.
I would wager that maybe they've spent, because this has been rumored for a long time, they've actually polished it to the point where it's actually
These
useful.
are just some of the ways that Vision
hoping.
Pro
I
blends
believe they
digital
probably have.
content into the space around us. So, here's Alan.
Vision computing sounds interesting, but what made like the computers and the iPhone so universal is just like the mobility of it all was the computing.
Allows us the freedom to imagine an experience unlike anything we've created before. It's an inspiring new view.
It is really nice how seamlessly
major
it
Apple
switches
platform
between
was
AR and
driven
VR.
by an innovative new input model. Mac with the mouse.
I was gonna ask, how long do you normally keep your headset on? Like, do you watch movies?
Vision Pro, we set the ambitious goal to design.
You know, I've tried to watch movies and do stuff. I can last maybe about maximum 2.5 hours.
Apple Vision Pro relies solely
Yeah, I was
on
gonna
your
say, I
eyes,
wonder how comfortable
hands,
it is,
and
because that was always
voice.
my issue with the Oculus. It always
your
got me
content.
uncomfortable after
It's
an
remarkable
hour or two.
and it feels like magic.
Especially my nose. I was never comfortable with my nose in that thing.
App icons suddenly come to life.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the diversity of everybody having different head shapes, having different nose shapes, like you just kind of said there. Like trying to have something that's universal for wearable technology.
The combination of
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, and that's a hard sell if it doesn't, fit for certain types.
your mind is guiding the experience. And we
The small hand gestures are really interesting to me.
So you can keep your hands where they're most comfortable, like resting in your lap or on the sofa. And the
I
entire
don't
experience is made better
understand exactly how that is
with
working.
Vision Pro. You can look at a search field and just start dictating.
In what way?
Like the hand, like how is it picking those up if it's all on a headset? You know what I mean? Like where is it?
There are cameras going outwards around it.
That's wild. Okay, got it.
Another foundational design goal for Vision Pro was that you're never.
I don't like that there's so many cameras on a piece of technology that is apparently going to be connected to the internet. It
Your eyes are a critical indicator of connection.
scares me. I don't know. That's the first thing I think of.
Pro
Sure.
displays your eyes when someone is nearby. It's incredible.
This is what I was mentioning
This
earlier
breakthrough
about
innovation is called
getting the
eyesight.
face-to-face, kind of stuff. So
Not only does eyesight reveal your eyes, it provides important cues to others about what you're focused on.
Wait.
This is how it looks when using apps.
wait, so can they see what you're looking at?
Changes when you're fully immersed in
Yeah.
the experience.
I think so. It's like sunglasses shading.
You can't see them at the moment.
That's why I was saying it's so weird that I can just switch from an entire environment where like
Yeah.
traditionally you wouldn't see what's on the other side to like showing the AR and letting people see your eyes.
And Vision Pro will simultaneously reveal your eyes to them.
Okay.
The spatial experiences of Vision Pro seamlessly blend to show you what it's like to use Apple
In a
Vision
few
Pro.
generations, if they
Here's
could get
almost
this
done.
thing slimmer and smaller, they will have something.
Sure.
Because wasn't it rumored that they would have like glasses, like the Apple? Yeah.
Vision Pro has the apps you love and count on every day.
It's like the bulky nature of it right now is just that's a hard sell. Like even seeing this, just walking around with that's what wearing a bike helmet. That's wearing a ski mask.
And of course,
Also, there's a little bit of what is the term?
iPhone, iPad, and Mac.
When something is looks too close to human, but it's not quite there. What is the uncanny valley of the eyes being unset? You know what I mean? Because like they're being projected basically. So that looks a little
So you can arrange
unsettling to me,
at
but
the
you know.
perfect size for whatever you're
The
doing.
technology is incredible, what they're showing off here, though.
Absolutely,
The
absolutely.
web is fantastic to work on your freeform.
Like the hurdle for something like virtual desktop, which is a program that simulates this, is not being able to actually see your environment properly. If this is clear, that would
just as if it was there in
be
front of you.
amazing.
It's
Right.
magical.
The shadow is interesting.
With Tony Stark abilities, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's easy to interact.
Oh, what was
with world
the?
around you.
There's a Tom Cruise one too,
So with
right?
Apple Vision Pro, you can
yeah.
Yeah.
for whatever you're doing and multitask with ease. You can review your to-do list in Notes.
So the
research
dongle,
your next
I'm guessing that's the cord
and
that's
discuss plans with
that's the
friends and
charger,
messages,
I'm assuming.
all while listening to your favorite playlist in Apple Music. Use the virtual keyboard or dictation to type. With Vision Pro, you have the room to do it all. Vision Pro also works seamlessly with familiar Bluetooth accessories like Magic Trackpad and Magic Keyboard, which are great
That's
when you're
good.
writing a long email or
Virtual
working on a
keyboard sounds
spreadsheet
wild
with
to me.
numbers. And you can even bring your Mac.
I already have a tough time typing with a real keyboard. I am curious how that will work.
Well, because I mean, like Justin and I have talked about this before, because we like mechanical keyboards because we like that tactile, kind of like feedback and whatnot. So using a virtual keyboard, like even the ones that just happen on a screen feel weird to me sometimes. Like
your ideal workspace.
not to be an old man, but I miss the buttons on smartphones. Like the actual tactile buttons. So having nothing at all is wild to imagine.
With your Mac.
I was just laughing earlier because I was worried about him being surrounded by screens and not being able to get away from them. So there were like two over here.
There's one over here. There's one over here.
It's like the Bruce Lee scene with all the mirrors, like being surrounded.
Because Vision Pro is great when you're traveling. And of course,
It's already funny watching somebody talking on Bluetooth, right? If they have like a really small thing or whatever. So imagine seeing somebody going around just going
room around you.
typing on things and doing all these hand motions and stuff. It's just so funny to me.
As new people join,
We laugh, but in 10 years, this will be it.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And also, what are they seeing? If you're talking to people on a FaceTime, what are they seeing on your end?
making group conversations easier and more natural.
Just your eyeballs.
And within FaceTime,
that's horrifying.
You just see a set of your grandmother's eyes looking at you.
Everyone in large video tiles.
Just take a photo of yourself. That's what you just slide it onto view.
That's what I'm saying. Like for this instance, like having that VR thing that I was talking about would be way more preferable to just someone's eyeballs. So
FaceTime on Vision Pro works.
Select a photo.
I see that person doing the pinching.
Your library
Pinching
of
scares me.
photos and videos looks incredible on Vision Pro with brilliant color and
The what?
spectacular detail.
It's a way that you use VR like that.
Sure.
It's like a click and drag.
Closer.
Gotcha.
To that moment.
Pinch.
And panoramas.
This is ugly
are
in
stunning.
ASL, I think. So that's
In
cool.
Vision Pro, every panorama you've ever taken on your own, you are capturing one. You can capture a spatial video
Exactly.
of
That's what I'm
a moment
saying.
with your kids.
Oh, what a wonderful moment with my children. Now look at your father that looks like a terrifying robot cyclops. Like what?
Spatial photos and videos bring you closer than ever to the moments and people you care about.
Oh,
It have to be like superb. Like you're expecting everybody to have like these amazing photos, amazing videos. When we all know the day-to-day quality of live video when we're at a birthday party.
With incredible sound. Vision Pro lets you have this.
And then everyone else's pictures are just gonna have you with this goofy headset on.
Like this apartment. You have a gorgeous screen you can adjust to the perfect size. Look Look back into a prehistoric time.
This is the content I'm
Seeing
here for.
dinosaurs interact right in front of you in 3D with spatial audio.
See, they planned all that out. They knew they were going to show this later.
In addition to watching movies,
Planted
you
the
can play
seed.
your favorite Apple
See, I told you they're appealing to your demographic, okay?
I like that my demographic is dinosaur. That's what
You're the one who called it out first. You're like, ooh, feather T-Rex, great.
they're cool. Dinosaurs are cool. I will never grow up out of that.
Just the start.
You know,
Way to enjoy.
I don't know. I get that.
And with spatial photos
The
and
first
videos,
step in any
you
kind
can
of like new
capture and
technology is
relive
always going to be
cherished
kind of
moments
like
in magical new
awkward
ways.
or silly or weird
back
or
to
anything like
Tim.
that. I appreciate the
Apple Vision
the step
Pro
that
will
they're
change
trying
the
to
way
take
we
here.
communicate,
I'm making fun of it sometimes, but I
and enjoy
appreciate
entertainment.
it. It's just
And the Walt Disney Company is the world's leader in entertainment.
man, it's gonna look goofy.
So I'm thrilled to introduce Bob Iger, CEO of Disney.
Oh,
Y'all have to start somewhere. I mean, think of like the first mobile phone. That thing
absolutely.
was and huge. No one thought that was going to catch on, but technology finds a way.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know the first step is always awkward, but you know, they're trying to take those strides.
The cool thing is, you know, it might be the first step for them, but this has been around for so long that like pretty much everything they've mentioned I've seen somewhere else, but it appears
They're trying to improve.
better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Groundbreaking technology.
And because it's a bigger company that's putting it out, like it's the outreach is going to be greater, right? So
is a
without leaving your home.
You know, like I said earlier, a lot of these other companies have tried this, but not to this degree or with these kinds of properties that people might actually
On a National Geographic adventure.
or with the funds that Apple has.
Yeah. Like the Mandalorian, I would totally do that.
Sure.
Weren't quite so imaginary.
Ever created.
That's got more depth than I
To achieve our
anticipated.
goals,
I didn't realize it was that far in
mobility
front of your
and
face.
wearability, we utilize the most advanced, lightest weight materials possible.
I want to see their adjustability features. That's important to me.
That was the first thing I was thinking about with hand motions and stuff like that as well. With that is like, how are they going to handle that for anyone that like? There's a lot of people that are missing a couple of fingers or like anything like that, or
Accessibility of it all.
Absolutely.
The glass flows seamlessly into. We studied thousands of heads to get a detailed understanding of the huge variation in cheek width, face angle, and head shape.
Sorry, the sentence we studied thousands of heads just sounds very funny to me. It's just like
perfectly.
I mean, it's good that they did. It's just a strange sentence. Yeah.
Delivering a really precise
Just like a sculptor being like, yes, I've studied thousands of heads.
to the head. To create a unique.
Like I always wonder, because I've used these types of headsets before, if, you know, the audio, of course, is next to your ear, you don't have to wear anything else,
allowing you to
but do other people hear it?
or even a different kind of
Because I want that to be me, my audio.
helps you secure the device.
Yeah, same thing with like the being able to see something in front of the, you know, like that's.
For those who wear glasses,
I don't like that.
we teamed up with Zeiss to create.
The result is a display that
Actually, that's a legitimate thing. What about people with glasses? Is this only because it's going with each eyeball, right? So how does that work with glasses?
Yeah, that's a good point. Now that I think about it, because I mean, we can't ask everyone to put on their contacts in order to get perfect, clear resolution.
Sure. Well, I mean, yeah, not everyone has contacts, right?
Exactly.
Well, usually there's either some form of adjustment built into it, or you can wear your glasses while putting the headset on. There's enough space there to do that.
Well, yeah, but that one looks, I don't know, it looks like it's like hugging each of your eyeballs, right? So.
Yeah, and that sounds awfully painful, especially if they have this shaped well enough for multiple variety of head types. Like glasses types is like a different thing altogether, a different variation that's going to hurt the comfortability.
I mean, I do know what the leak said, but I think I would rather wait to see if they say it at this point. Like the leak was implying that
Precisely matching
you can actually have lenses made,
one example
but
of how Vision Pro makes use of its advanced sensor.
On top of what price is the question.
High resolution video to the displays. Enables precise head and hand tracking.
Just get better eyes, it's fine.
Real-time 3D
there are your cameras, Kyle. Your hand cameras.
A high-performance eye tracking system communicate with over 1 billion FaceTime-capable devices.
I don't like this.
Oh, so there's your answer to your question earlier. What did they see?
Has volume and depth.
Uncanny valley is what they see.
None of this technology could come to life without every single frame.
I know I said I wanted VR chat, but this isn't really exactly what I was what I was shooting for with the avatar. That's wild.
The existing application frameworks were extended to natively support spatial experience.
I'm just thinking about like it's just like you're interacting with like real-time live video feed, and they're interacting with
all of the incredible
it's kind of like the phone effect. Like technically, when you hear someone's voice on the other end, that's not your voice. That is just like your brain fine-tuning it and telling you what that person's voice sounds like over that technological line. It's kind of like borderline that, but I can't get over the fact that like I'm gonna look at your avatar and be like, that's not you.
PTC to review and approve
VR and AR for educational purposes has always been really cool to me, and I'm pleased that they're showing stuff like this.
DJ with a reimagined spatial interface.
Oh, that
Sky
okay.
Guide, you are
I mean, for me, that ties into the whole how financially accessible is it to the people that might actually need it?
Yeah, because then otherwise, I mean, like, yeah, no, for sure.
You can learn through this, but how much is it?
Exactly, and who will be able to learn it? And will that drive education from the haves and the have-nots further than where it is now, right? So.
And popular video.
I think you always have to think about the delay of like education systems too, and especially what school types you're going to as well. Certain access is going to be limited based on your area, your the entry fee that you have for your school itself, private school, public school. So as useful as this is, it could be 10 years before a public school in certain areas could even get their hands on this.
On one.
3D content.
On one, yeah.
Yeah.
Reality Composer Pro.
I just remember, like, I think we got our iPads when I was in school, like towards the end of 8th grade for me. And that was, oh my gosh, exciting. But also, like, these were a few years down the line of iPads. Like, that generation way newer than that.
Will be available on
We were excited when we got to watch TV specials on Laserdisc.
Adobe Lightroom on a massive screen and easily control these.
Welcome to the portion of we discuss everyone's ages.
I thought you were 22, Justin. What happened? What?
3D apps for years. Full access to Vision OS features.
So Disney integration, gaming integration. What's next?
Gestures. And because
Unity's cool. I mean, especially with like the indie world, but I'm curious about like Unreal and like other the bigger ones. How soon they're gonna hop onto this?
Where users can
It's like the Notch. The Notch was one of those things everyone made fun of. People said, oh, this will never sell. This will not work. And then everyone started adopting some form of it.
In the platform State of the Union.
And then, we have the island now. But the whole thing is, I think that maybe, this generation will encourage more people to jump into it. And a few generations later, it will be just normal. There will be some kind of this pair of glasses for everyone. We're seeing that happen right now with like the Steam Deck. Other companies like Asus, they're all getting their own little Steam Deck devices now.
The rumor was already at $3,000 already, and so this is a bit higher of the price than we expected, just slightly, but still in the.
Now back to Tim.
It's just such a high. Like I can see all the tech and innovation here, and I understand why things can be pricey. If you go back in history, every single new piece of technology, it has a huge price tag to it. With all the accessibility and the things they're offering, it's so hard to see that there's going to be a lot of laggards to this at first, for sure.
Yeah, big thanks to everyone at Apple who made today possible.
I'm wondering, like, when they do the second generation of this device, it's only going to get higher and higher. I'm hoping at some point there's a low-tier version of
like the shuffle version of the iPod, right? Yeah.
All of them powered
Just let you see one eye.
Oh, it's gonna be like a Dragon Ball Z Scouter is what it's gonna be. It's gonna have something like that. Perfect.
The power level's over 9,000. Is that where we're going to be able to?
The price is under 9,000. No, there's that.
And of course, we announced Apple.
Is it what you expected?
Mostly, yeah. I mean, yeah. For the most part, I mean, I expected it to be, you know, kind of weird, really expensive, very impressive, and sleek. You know, and I feel like that's generally what I expect from a new product from Apple, and I feel like they delivered on that front, on all four of those criteria, right? So.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of the things that they've shown, I've seen other places, but they've refined it and it looks a lot better and a lot smoother. I think the FaceTime thing is something I was not expecting, and having like your own avatar, that's the one thing I'm still trying to wrap my mind around, but I'm not like super shocked by anything.
It's just a lot. It's just a lot to take in, and I don't even know where to start.
I think my past experiences with this kind of technology have not ended up with me using it too much, so it's a hard sell for me.
So that was a lot. That was a lot to take in. That was a 2-hour keynote, and they finished it off with probably the biggest reveal that Apple's had in a long time, which is their Vision Pro. And I know we had a lot of comments to say, but where do we want to start with our thoughts?
I mean, what was your favorite feature from it? Like, what really caught your eye the most?
I mean, I'll be the first to say, as someone who's really big into movies and stuff like that, like the cinematic experience is always something that's going to catch my attention, especially when, you know, we've gone through the world of a pandemic already. And like having like entertainment at home was a big thing in helping people get through all of that. So seeing that, I'm curious how that's going to integrate. I'm curious how the audio integrates, because I think, you know, Kyle, I think you brought it up, like, how does the sound interact with your environment? If people can see your eyes, is there noise cancellation when it's just a headset rather than like headphones that actually has like muffled padding to do that? I think that sounds great. It sounds interesting. It sounds interactive. I don't know how it's going to work though.
Sure. And to Justin's note, like how not only like does the outside world, how much does that get muffled, you know, inward, it's also how much does the sound that is being produced get muffled whenever it's going outward, right? Yeah. I don't necessarily want people, you know what I mean? Like if I don't know, man, like if I'm waiting at the doctor, you know, and I'm playing, you know, Grand Theft Auto or something like that, like I don't want that, you know, like being put out there, you know, or whatever the case may be, right? So I mean, there's you know, I know Apple tends to be pretty conscious of privacy and whatnot, but like this opens a whole new can of worms, you know, with this kind of thing, as with any new, you know, like kind of entire new field of product generally does. Like there's just so many questions as to how it's going to handle a bunch of different things like that. But privacy for sure is one of them. And then how they are going to continue improving that really unsettling avatar is another thing that's top of mind for me. Because man, I would prefer, like, I'm not a huge fan of those like goofy cartoons that they use that Apple uses a lot. I would 1,000 times % like prefer that over the like more realistic version, just because that I feel like goes right into that uncanny valley, which I'm super conscious of, right? So yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more. If you have like the emoji avatar that they've created, that they've had out for quite a while now, it's been years. You forget like how long they've had these things announced. That's less threatening. I don't know if there's a better term for it, but seeing your avatar being another you, like it's kind of like the effect that people have when they see certain like altered mirrors when they see themselves. You have an uncanny valley effect with yourself. So I don't know, it's just uncomfortable. I understand it's a very big leap in technology and they're going to improve it more, but it's scary to me right now.
Well, there were a ton of announcements. One of the other ones was the 15-inch MacBook Air. How did you feel about that one? New chip, new size.
I would get it. Like I've always considered getting an Air, but I prefer having a bigger laptop screen. So the fact that they came out with that is a big thing for me. So I would definitely get it. The new chip, the battery life seemed really good. I think they said it's like, I'm not sure if it was the thinnest Air or just thinnest laptop they have, but
I think it was the thinnest laptop. Yeah, at 3.3 pounds too.
Okay, yeah. So
the thinnest of the 15-inch screen, I think is what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but it definitely sold for me.
Also, we had updates to all of the various OS systems. How did you feel about the Apple updates for the iPhone?
All right, I'm jumping in here first because as someone who uses iPhone, I have thoughts, and I liked the direction that they went. It's always going to be more of the personal modifications and the personal, how do I make this more me, which I like, even though that was their main topic. And I wish that they focus more on like accessibility features, like they have in their past. I don't think that's a bad route either, because people your phone at some point becomes ingrained with who you are. That's just what society we're living in now for those who have access to this kind of technology. So the fact that they're making it more personal, more you in a way, like it adds to your sense of self, and at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as like all the updates to like widgets and apps and stuff like that, I mean, you mentioned it yourself, Justin, how like a lot of times like Apple, what they'll do is they'll take stuff that has been shown to be popular and shown to be successful and find a way to integrate it into their native OS and whatnot, right? With their own personal widgets and things like that. So, I mean, from an outside point of view, I see a lot of the stuff that they're adding in and I'm like, cool, that exists. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that elsewhere, but like I understand that like integrating it into like the look and the feel, and then also just like there's a lot of people that don't go hunting for new apps, right? There's a lot of people that are just like, well, I'll just take whatever is coming out of the box and just run with it. So the fact that they're bringing that into like what people are more likely to use because it's already going to be baked into their phone, I think is smart. It's a good idea to do. It's just. I guess on like a keynote or something like this, like that, I think that's why I had like my guttural like first instinct was like, like so up. But like upon thinking about it further, I'm like, okay, sure, like I get it. Like there's a lot of different kinds of people that use these kind of products, and a lot of them are maybe aren't the kinds that spend 3 hours hunting for weird neat apps that fit everything that I could possibly want, right? So
I want to clarify something again. They're called contact posters, I believe, and you set your own and transmit it to everyone else if you would like. So.
Okay, gotcha. I would make just the goofiest ones and make sure that those are the ones that I send. Absolutely. People would, in fact, remove me from their contact list so that they would not have to see the ones that I send out, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Because they already have sort of a feature like this where if you're talking to someone new, you can send them your image and contact information. Now, instead of like me setting an image for my buddy Brody, he can set his own, and then I'll see it whenever he contacts me. There's some room here where we have to, be careful what we send to people. Mostly, if it's a business phone, I don't want to see you out with your buddies partying. And I'm sure there will be a way to disable that feature. There has to be. Yes, but contact post.
Yeah, I think for me, I think just because a lot of the features I've seen before, I've used on my Samsung and everything, I felt kind of underwhelmed and kind of like. And I know a lot of these features, they've been built upon from last year. So I get it. And I'm glad that they're updating and refining things. I think my favorite one was probably the live voicemail feature. I thought that was really cool. And then even I know FaceTime's really popular. So the fact that I think it was like a FaceTime message you can leave if someone doesn't pick up. I think those were the two things that really caught my eye. But I think, yeah, just because I've seen a lot of this stuff out there, I was kind of underwhelmed, and I kind of felt like, oh, this could have been an email or this, like, I think that's the general feeling I had towards it. But yeah, the live voicemail and the FaceTime message, I think those were the two that kind of really caught my eye, and the check-in feature.
iMessage introduced, they have a new feature called check-in, which will allow you and a contact that you are connected to be able to communicate with like a simple message that says, I'm at this location. I made it back home. I'm okay. And we talked a little bit about some of the security issues that might surround that, but I think it's a really great idea for like parents and kids. So they know that you're home when you're supposed to be home.
And I'm assuming kind of like, which Mackenzie, Justin, you guys have to tell me, with sharing your location, that's something you can turn off. But with this, I can't remember if they mentioned, like when you turn it off, does the other person get notified or how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know if they mentioned that either, but I know that when you stop sharing your location, you know when someone stops sharing their location with you.
Okay.
Had some friends have little arguments over that.
Sounds like there's a story there, but okay.
I was just a third party. I'm like, ooh, yeah. Also, we have a couple of new features that we didn't mention, like easier sharing with AirDrop, which is always welcome, and Name Drop, of course, which allows you to send your contact information with your photo that you choose, your contact poster as well. There's also another feature update to the iPhone, which will allow you to use it more as a not a camera, but more of a clock wherever you go, with its own little stand that you turn sideways. You see the phone sideways and you'll see the time right up there. How do you feel about that?
The standby thing? Is that what it was, right?
Yeah, standby. Standby. Oh,
do you get it now?
I'm surprised they didn't mention the actual stand itself. Or did they?
Yeah, they didn't actually.
No. I feel bad that I feel like my input is always like, I wouldn't get that. But whenever I'm done with my phone, when I put it down, I don't care about it anymore. It's kind of like my mentality, right? Because like whenever I put my phone down, it's because I'm done with my phone and I'm doing another thing at that point, right? Like I'm either on my computer, I'm talking to somebody, whatever, so like as far as the like at home usage of it, I don't anticipate I would use it or anything similar to it. I mean, like I don't even have like one of those like home devices, or anything like that. But as far as I know, Justin, you suggested like as far as like being used whenever you're like on the road or anything like that, like having that, being able to pull up a map on that, and then also being able to be like, send. Let me know, when 30 minutes has passed so I can say, oh no, I'm running late, to send a message to somebody, or, like something like that, because if Siri is activatable, like through, despite being on standby mode, which it said it was, that's super cool and that'd be super useful. Also keeps you from hands-free driving experience so that everyone's nice and safe. So like for that reasoning, I think it's pretty slick. Otherwise, I don't see a whole lot of use for it personally, but, that's me.
I think one of the last big features, if no one else has anything to contribute, because we've covered a lot of this already, is the journal feature, which they are building into Photos. How do you feel about that? Will you use it?
Oh, I'll use it 100%. I like one of my most used apps on the iPhone is the Notes app, and you're probably thinking like, why don't you just use the dock version that they have? No, I don't like it. I like Notes. Notes are very accessible to me. They're very quick. They're very fast. I can use the dictation very quickly and easily. I can add photos to it very fast. So if I can do that just directly in Photos already, that's going to make my day, because I try to be a very organized person. I try to have lists and tasks and things, and I can integrate that even more into my day-to-day. I do find that incredibly useful.
Yeah, I'm not really that kind of person. I'm kind of like I'm not big on writing down my thoughts, which I should do more, which ties into their updates for the health app. Now that we've mentioned that, but I can see where it would be helpful, especially if I'm like on location. if I were still shooting things normally like I usually do, I could take a picture of something and then write about it underneath there. Okay, well, we set this up here and then we did this with this. And I could see a lot of use for that, because there are times when I look at a photo and I'm like, I wish I was able to make notations about what's in this photo and when it happened and all that stuff. That would be awesome. Emmanuel and Kyle, they are not Apple users in this respect. Do you have a similar feature on your Android phones? And if you do or don't, let us know. And would you use it if you had it?
I don't, not off the top of my head, no, because I just use the Notes app. The Android, they have the Notes app, and it has somewhat similar features, but nothing to this extent. So I definitely would use something like this, because it has a little bit more detail into it. And kind of with Android, it's just kind of like, okay, you can put your thoughts down, you can plop a picture in, and that's literally it.
Yeah, I normally just use, if it's text only, I normally just use Google Keep is my journal, you know, of choice, which is, I don't know, like basically like sticky notes kind of thing. If there is anything that requires anything that's a little bit more advanced, I do just have like a for work I have a notes document, and for personal use I have a journal document, and I just use that, and it's just, you know, it's right there. But then again, like one more time, I'm very like I have my battle station, right? I have my home, I have my desktop, and like that is where I do a lot of my stuff. If I do something outside of that, I normally have like a pocket-sized journal, because I'm an old man, and so I like to have that so that I can just write things down in a little journal that I have there, and then I can transfer that over, you know, whenever I can. But I also, I don't know, I think there's something very nice about like a tactile, you know, like pencil to paper, you know, kind of feeling. So there's that. I think it's neat though. Like legitimately, I think I'm a big advocate for journaling in general. Like what you're saying as well, for mental health reasonings, as well as just like keeping track of things. You know, so I'm all for this feature. I think it's super cool that they added something like this.
So Mackenzie and Justin, the iPad users, what was the main features that really caught your attention?
I think completing the circle in terms of, you know, Apple already, the iPhone has this feature, and now the iPad does, just being able to customize my images more and my screen more with my widgets. That is going to be awesome. Yeah, usually I'm not looking at that, but I like the power that it gives me to be able to make it more mine. And I think that's what people appreciate about this.
Yeah, I agree with Justin. And also the fact that, like, I know that they have widgets on the iPhone, and now they're incorporating more widgets with the Macs that they've just announced and everything like that. I feel like the product that I find using the widgets most accepting for me personally is the iPad, because I don't know, it just feels more coordinated and organized, and I'm glad that there's a lot more customization there going to happen with the widgets. I'll have to try and see it though, if I actually like it though, because it looks like they're incorporating a lot. You know, on the iPhone, like you said, Justin, we're completing the circle, but is it, you know, as nice as it's used on the iPhone compared to like a small screen versus a big screen? So once they actually release the iPadOS and like with all the updates, then I'll see where my final judgment lies.
We'll check back in. We'll see.
I really am curious to hear everyone's thoughts on the watchOS, specifically more all the safety features and health features that they added, like with the hiking and the cycling, and like the fact that they have like, okay, here's your nearest location for the SOS signal. Here's your nearest location that you've last had a cellular signal. Those sounded really interesting to me.
Yeah, those really caught my eye, just because I know with the Galaxy Watch, I think it definitely does have some security features. I think one of the main ones I remember was that, like, if you're hiking and you like fall or anything like that, it'll alert someone in your contacts or something like that. But I really loved all the security features they put into it, and kind of made me want to get an Apple Watch, because I'm like, wow, these would be kind of nice.
I like the golf stuff. I used to actually play golf quite a lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can keep track of all this now. And that's what I love about the Health app. Not just because, you know, it can keep track of everything, but all of the pieces of your Apple ecosystem sort of work together. So I only really need to care about my watch at this point. And I know I'll have the information on my phone, and I know I'll have it on my iPad as well.
I don't know. Despite being a fairly, like I said, a fairly like sedentary technology user, you know, as far as like where I use my stuff. I do have a lot of people in my life that are very avid hikers and campers and stuff like that. So the fact that there's a lot of safety features out there for them, you know, especially my folks, you know, it brings a lot of, you know, peace of mind to me. So really anything that keeps people alive, I'm a fan for. So the fact that they're, you know, doing stuff like this, I'm like, yo, this is great. Good on them for prioritizing something like that. Because I know a lot of times, like, it's the gizmos and the gadgets and the exciting things and whatnot. But, you know, something like this, it's like, hey, you know, we want you around. Yeah, you know, is a nice, you know, message to receive from a tech company, right? So
I love their marketing angle with the watch. Because at first I was like, why? What is the? And now it's all about safety. You know, you get lost, we'll help someone find you. Send your signal to a satellite. If you get the right watch, a certain brand, you know, it changes color so you can see it better at night. And it's like, oh wow, okay, they know what they're doing here.
I thought you were gonna say they have Snoopy. I'm 100% down for Snoopy now. I thought you were gonna say that.
It was raining. It was so cute. I would just get it and stare at it and smile, and they know that's why they made that.
That adds to the mental health portion for you, Justin, just for you, you know, like. All right. Well, I don't think we have any further thoughts, but I know we will definitely have more coverage over at TechRepublic.com. So please head over there if you want to check out even more from our great writers on that side. And we really appreciate you all tuning in for us to, this is our first time we're covering this type of event, and I'm sure we will cover even more later down the line. So thank you all, and everyone here, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.